Week 6 sees the 2-3 Redskins take on the 3-1 New York Jets on the road at MetLife Stadium. Will the Redskins continue their win-1, lose-1 pattern with a critical win on Sunday? Will Deshaun Jackson and Jordan Reed return from injuries to make the difference? Will Corey Lichtensteiger play, saving fans the terror of watching Josh Laribas snap the ball? And will Kirk Cousins stare into the gloriously bearded eyes of Ryan Fitzpatrick and see his future? Don't go away. We're going to talk about it right here in the Hogstye.
Oh, that's good.
It's the Hogstye.
Welcome to the Hogstye, the rootinest, tootinest Old West Saloon this side of the Mississippi. Town Mayor Steve Thomas is here, mixing with the common folk.
Can you please tell me what bearded eyes are? Is that what you said about Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Even his eyes have beards, man. Have you seen this guy? Looks like Dick Dastardly.
How can he
Look
see
into
like
my
that?
beard and see your future.
Bartender Alex Zeese is here, keeping the drinks and conversation flowing.
Oh, thank goodness. I was hoping I'd not be the town drunk.
Oh, no, that's me. And don't go out at night, because outlaw Robbie Deadeye Duncan is sure to ride through town, and you don't want to find yourself in his crosshairs.
You don't want my analysis.
And yeah, I'm the town hobo, I guess. My name's Sean Conti. Welcome.
You can
we
be
got
the gold miner. You can be the
You
old
could do
gold
worse.
miner character.
You could do
The old
worse.
prospect.
There's gold here.
You could do worse than a town hobo.
You're sitting on a gold mine.
Did you guys? Yeah. Are you talking about that Gus Chiggins skit from SNL? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't watched SNL since Chris Farley died.
Hilarious. If you're listening at home, look up Old Prospector SNL. It is hysterical.
Okay.
But anyways, that's a different show. This is the Hogstye. Let's talk about some Redskins versus Jets. And I guess the first thing that we kind of talked about in the intro there is injuries, because we've got some key ones coming up with the potential of some return of some key players, I should say. So, Steve, can you take us through the updates there?
Yeah, good Lord. You know, as Jay Gruden said in his presser, get comfortable, everybody, because it is a long list. We have 17 players on the injury list this week. Bashad Breeland with his shoulder injury. He practiced full today. Chris Culver with his continuing knee problem did not practice today, Thursday. We had Garcon and Golston on the list. They both full practiced. D'Angelo Hall is still not practiced with his toe sprain. Jason Hatcher missed a practice but was not injury related, thankfully. Deshaun Jackson has practiced a little bit. He was limited today, and the reason he was limited is that he felt a twinge in his hamstring again and left. So, unfortunately, it might be bleak for Jackson. Matt Jones, hamstring, limited practice. Corey Lichtensteiger, shoulder and a finger, did not practice today. Spencer Long practiced. He has a knee problem. Paella has a back. He was limited. Jordan Reed, nowhere to be found, of course. There's a shock. Everybody, get surprised.
He literally wasn't just lost somewhere at Redskins Park and they couldn't find him?
Well, he has a concussion, so
I'm
he
shocked.
might not know where
Shocked.
he is.
Yeah.
He fell down the black hole.
He may literally be lost, if he's still under concussion symptoms. Perry Riley has a calf, but he fully practiced. Chris Thompson has a shoulder. He practiced. The big injury here, Trent Williams, spinal cord injury, did not practice today. We'll talk about that one a little later. We'll save discussion.
Is that the same thing that what's his name had, Mike Tyson?
Well, I think
broke
it's
my back.
I think it's
spinal.
Let's hope none of us have whatever it is that Mike Tyson had. Josh Laribas has a calf problem. Yeah, he did. Josh Laribas has a calf problem, and Andre Roberts injured himself today and was limited. He has a quad problem. So that is...
He didn't want to be left out.
No, not him.
Yeah. So that's 17. The only good news to this, I'm not going to go over the whole list. I'm not going to go over the whole list, but the Jets actually have 17 people on their injury list as well.
Wow.
Including Antonio Cromartie, Chris Ivory, Lattimore, the linebacker, concussion. So they and Muhammad Wilkerson has a rib problem. So they have some injuries too. But that is the Redskins injury.
We have a Doug Williams of injuries. I mean, it's a Jason Campbell level injury list here.
I mean, what is going on? Because The injury list came out sometime this week, and we all thought it was. I mean, I don't think anybody really thought it was that many people, but then the official one came out, and it was 17. It was all of those people. I mean, it's unbelievable how we've been bitten by the injury bug.
Well, think about this.
You're not even putting guys on IR there, are you?
No. I don't put the IR guys on the injury report that I do for the
And I think we have
preview.
like 10 guys on IR. We have an entire roster full of injured people.
Well, think about this. There's 53 people on the active roster. 17 people is over 30%. So over 30% of the roster is on the injury report.
I mean, does this worry you guys about conditioning training, or like what's going on? Like, we are getting injured, and it's always been a problem, but this year's particularly bad.
Well, I wonder about that. I guess we need Robbie's input here, and fortunately we have Robbie here. Because I can't, Trent Williams in his spine, that's not conditioning. Lichtensteiger in a finger, that's not conditioning.
That's a broken thumb, right?
Yeah, but the hamstring and the quads, I'm wondering if that's a conditioning thing. What do you think, Robbie?
It's tough. Even in college, we had the same problem. Guys kept tweaking their hamstring or their quad or something like that. Trainers would try to think of different ways to train them, to prevent those injuries. But I mean, when it happens, it just basically happens. You can't really do much, especially with a hamstring. You tweak that once. Until it's fully healed, it's really hard to come back from and try to, instead of forcing it. Yeah, it's not what you want to do.
Those always linger through the season.
Well, let's start right there, because Deshaun Jackson is the one where the hamstring's lingering. He practiced today. The report that came out was that he practiced. He felt a twinge in his hamstring, and they yanked him off the field. I guess that tells us that he's really not ready to play. Yeah. In spite of the positive vibes we were getting, I think are kind of gone about Jackson.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not a big deal at all, and he'll still play. Yeah, and it's kind of like misleading the Jets.
Let's hope.
Yeah. That's a good point.
The one that concerned me most, obviously, is Trent Williams and his spine.
Yeah, that's true. He's been playing at an unreal level this year. I mean, to me, it looks like the light bulb went off, like everything's clicked for him. I mean, he's been good up to this point, but this year, I mean, it's like everything's in slow motion for him, and he's just a god amongst men kind of thing. Now,
he was complaining of some kind of injuries last week, too, wasn't he? Nothing that kept him out of practice, but I remember there being something in the press about how he was banged up already.
I think he was on the injury list as probable last week, if I recall. Yeah. It wasn't anything to do with spinal cord, though. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
Well, we don't know.
Anytime it's the spine, you don't want to mess with it, I feel like.
And we don't know too much about what the specific injury is. I think the team is waiting on a diagnosis, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though, speaking of which, I just want to say this about spinal injuries. Didn't Steve Smith Sr. also suffer a spinal injury, but he's supposed to play this weekend? That blows my mind. I don't understand that.
It depends on what the injury is.
They were calling his like a broken spine at one point.
Yeah, or like something like really serious sounding, but that he's supposed to play, I'm like totally confused.
For anybody out there, Chris Samuel's career. I was just going to say, for anybody out there who thinks that they're tough enough to play pro football, try playing a game with a broken spine, and then rethink whether or not you're tough enough to play football.
Yeah, no.
And here's a testimonial from a player that did. Yeah. Just kidding.
All right, well, so let's talk.
Robbie, what did you?
Yeah.
Well, Robbie, what injuries did you play through? Did you have any injuries?
Oh, that's a good question.
I really didn't have that many injuries. I had a big one in high school where I got a herniated disc in my lower back. That was an L5-S1, and probably shouldn't have kept playing. But I mean, I felt no pain when I was playing, and I went through a bunch of rehab to kind of stretch my muscles out. That's the worst thing about those herniated discs. It really kind of constricts your muscles, and you get that nerve pain going down your leg. So it's not easy, but it's definitely doable. But other than that, I didn't really have that many injuries.
I thought
really
you said
minor
you had
stuff
some
that I still played through.
Or some knee issues. No, or was that somebody else on the blog who mentioned that at one point?
No, I did have a bit of a knee thing, but that was like just in-game thing that took me out at the very end of a game. It was like an MCL strain or something like that. It wasn't anything big. I played the next week, but
damn.
Yeah, I mean, some guys are durable, some aren't. People get injury prone and just always get injured. So it's kind of weird how it works like that.
Not everybody can be Iron Man, Deadeye Duncan over here.
Yeah.
Well, the Redskins have not valued durable players in the past. That was clearly something that, like, Vinny Serrato just didn't care about when he was drafting way back when. You know, getting guys like Malcolm Kelly, Fred Davis, and Devin Thomas all together at the same time who could never get on the field. But, you know, there are some guys who... It seems like some teams just don't get bit with the injury bug ever. And it's not us.
No, it's not us. It never has been, really. Not
Either that or they find ways to adjust and make do.
Yeah. Well, so for the folks at home who might not know, if Trent Williams doesn't go, then I believe that means, what is it, Compton playing there?
No,
I'm sorry. Yeah, and Seki is back up for is the backup left tackle position. So, I mean, we don't really know enough about him to know really how much that will affect it. We know obviously he's not Trent Williams, so you want somebody strong there anchoring the left side of the line there. But I mean, I guess it's a good chance to see what we got.
Yeah, fortunately, we've had somebody who's seen Ty Nsekhe practice in Robbie Deadeye Duncan.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say he was the best of the backups all training camp, all preseason. I mean, but that's, you know, against the backups and against the scrubs of the preseason. But my eye told me that he was playing with good technique and he didn't get beat. So, I mean, there's at least consistency there to have a little bit of confidence in. I mean, he's not obviously Trent Williams or he'd be starting.
Right.
You know, but...
Right.
He's got size, though, too, right? I mean, he's
He's huge
guy.
Yeah, he's like 6'7".
He's huge. He's 6'8", actually. He's like 6'8", 330.
Jesus.
I mean, he's got the size to match up against Muhammad Wilkerson.
There's a reason why
Richardson.
There's a reason why he's the backup to the left tackle, not the right tackle. You know, he obviously outplayed all of his fellow backups.
Well, yeah, but he is the primary backup for right tackle too. He's the swing tackle.
That's what I was going to say. He actually is listed on the depth chart as the backup for right tackle, and Compton's still listed there as left tackle now. But I know that Nsekhe has since become clear that he's backing up Trent Williams.
But I think a lot of teams in our situation, when they would traditionally try and move their right tackle over to the left and then put someone in at right, like that's what a lot of teams do when the left tackle gets hurt.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But one thing you guys and listeners should pay attention to is depth charts you see online are just formalities. It's not anything set in stone. You know, they
it's also
put them
a guess.
behind. Yeah, they put him behind this position because they have to put someone behind a position here. I mean, especially for offensive line. Ty Nsekhe's a great example. He's the swing tackle, but only listed as the backup right tackle. You know, it doesn't mean anything.
They just have to put them somewhere.
Exactly.
Well, so moving on from there, I mean, the only other thing that I would mention is if Jordan Reed's out again, that means Carrier's back in at tight end. And he caught a touchdown last week, so hopefully he can keep the production up in place of Jordan Reed if he doesn't go. And it sounds like Jordan Reed will not play because he didn't practice again, unless I'm mistaken. So
no, he didn't practice.
Yeah, that's somewhat distressing. But, hey, Carrier did okay last week, so...
You know, Carrier's looking like he could settle in here for a while as a good backup tight end. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he certainly showed something last week, having not been with the team very long. Well, let's talk about more Skins offense versus Jets defense. That is a somewhat daunting task. I think we all kind of had it in our heads that they're going to dare Kirk to throw, and it's going to be on Kirk not to turn into the bad Kirk that we have seen. Because if Darrelle Revis is out there and he's not covering Djax, who's he going to be on primarily through the game? What, Pierre?
Probably, but he's not even going to need to float around. I mean, he's still got Antonio Cromartie.
Right.
You know, they both can lock down our receivers. I guarantee you that's what they're thinking. They don't need to move him around or focus on one receiver.
Cromartie's hurt too, so we'll see what his status is. But you know, for the benefit of the listeners who don't understand this, the reason why we're concerned about the Jets defense is that they are in fact the number one ranked defense in the NFL. They're number one in total points surrendered. They're number one in total yards. They're 2 in passing yards. They're 2 in rushing yards, and they're 7th in rushing yards per attempt.
Okay, can I just really quickly say something? I'm sick of the fact that every week it seems like we're going against a top defense. Can we for once just play a shitty defense?
Amen.
I mean, we did that in preseason. We played the Browns. Okay. They're last. One of the last.
We played Miami too. I don't know if Miami's necessarily all that. I mean, they're not maybe not the bottom of the barrel.
On paper they were.
On paper they were. When we first faced them, it was we got to worry about sub. We got to worry about that D line. We got to worry about their whole. You know, they are a defensive team. It's like every week it seems like we're facing a great defense.
Yeah, and of
I
course
just want to
Miami
play
obviously
one
beat
team
us.
shittier than us.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Amen.
on paper, the Philly isn't that great. I mean, they had their run defense, but Falcons on paper wasn't that great either. But they both played better than what you see on paper. So
Let me just-
it kind of week by week type thing.
Yeah, let me just throw some numbers at everybody here. Opponents passing, they're holding their passing to 51.1 completion percentage. And from a rushing standpoint, they're holding opposing rushers to 3.8 yards per attempt, which is
our average.
No. We are still a little better than that. I mean, we obviously had a major setback, and from a stats perspective, the Falcons game set us way back in the statistics.
We dropped from like 2nd to 12th or something. I mean, it was
Let
precipitous
me
fall.
just go over that. We are now 10th in total. We trended down in every category. Okay, so if I don't say not down, it's down. We were 10th in total yards, 17th in passing yards, 9th in rushing yards. Now down from, I believe we were 1 or 2 last week, and then we are now 13th in rushing yards per attempt. And to me that's the key stat. Because we can't get the yards. If we can't get yards per attempt over 4. It causes problems. It causes 3rd and longs.
Yeah, unless we were around 2 per attempt. So
yeah. So there's no doubt that we had a setback. So the key is, and this is a question for Robbie here, what do the Redskins have to do against this fearsome Jets defense?
Well, you saw. I just sent it to you earlier, Steve. But you guys who read our game previews and our blog post about it. One of the keys to the game, in my opinion, is that we're going to need to push the tempo. Jets are a very talented defense, but their depth isn't the best. I mean, they have Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, Leonard Williams, and that D-line is pretty much it. I mean, they got some quality guys behind them, but they're not outstanding. If you can push the tempo, get them tired and rotating in and out, then I think that would play to our advantage. You run a little no huddle, you dink and dunks, some toss plays, just make them run the sideline to sideline and have to get right back and line up and play another play. I think that would really help us, and especially in just kind of trying to catch them off guard. I mean, I know we have been ruling this time of possession stat, but that hasn't really worked out too well for us.
Right.
So I think you got to kind of change it up some.
Well, and in speeding the tempo up, I think that means less substitutions, for the most part, right? And so with that, also, it seems to me it means is we need to show a dedication to one running back or another for a lot more than we have been. This constantly rotating running backs in and out, I think it really keeps Morris and Jones out of a rhythm.
Yep.
They're just not in a rhythm, and it's the coach's fault. I said this, 2 weeks ago? Teams that have a running back by committee generally do it because they don't have a feature back. We have a feature back, and we're misusing – Jay Gruden is misusing the feature back. Jay, if you're listening, and I know you are misusing Alfred Morris, okay? Let him get rolling. There you go. Jay's on the line. Against the Jets, let's let – Alfred Morris get rolling, even if in the first quarter it doesn't go well. Keep a commitment to the running game, and maybe we'll wear down a defensive line that does not have depth.
Yeah.
Well, see, the backs aren't getting into the rhythm, but the offensive line wasn't executing very well either. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet earlier this week of an example, but there was a play. Yeah, there was a play earlier in the game where they ran an outside stretch play to the right side. Everybody was 2 for 2. You had Trent Williams and Spencer Long 2 for 2 on their guys, climbing to the linebackers. Sheriff and Lichtensteiger both were 2 for 2. And then it was Compton and Moses on the right side. Compton obviously was the tight end. And they they double teamed one guy, the D end in front of them, and left Paul Warlow free running right into the gap. I don't know what the call was or what they thought they were doing, but there was some miscommunication there. Or someone didn't run the play right, and you had 2 guys blocking one guy and leaving a linebacker free to tackle Matt Jones in the backfield. Had they blocked that play right, it would have been a huge gain. He would have run right behind Morgan Moses, and who knows what could have happened, but at least would have been a big gain. There's stuff, just minor details like that's got to get cleaned up, and I think that'll help it.
Was that the same one where Lichty fell down eventually after blocking nobody? Because you tweeted that one too, and I just watched that over and over, and I was laughing and crying at the same time. It was just depressing.
You can hear the yakety sax song playing in the background if they play that.
Well, at least we can kind of put that in perspective because of the injury stuff. But yeah, I mean, not a good look. Look, I feel like miscommunication.
Okay, no, hold on a minute. Don't let Lichtensteiger off the hook for not blocking anybody just because he had a broken thumb. Okay. I mean,
what was it? Yeah, I mean,
no.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to give him too much slack, but it was a broken thumb, and
he face planted in front of nobody.
Sean,
I feel like I've seen worse.
At it.
No, you haven't seen
blocking
worse. Himself.
He was cut blocking the Invisible Man.
He cut blocked himself.
He got sniped by somebody.
He got sniped. Yeah. Well, either way, I feel like miscommunication is the name of this offense. You're seeing constant miscommunication issues with receivers and Kirk Cousins, and then you're also seeing some, communication problems with the offensive line. Also, hearing you guys talk, the other big concern is just, or what was I going to say? Totally lost my train of thought.
Well,
Somebody tell me what I was just about to say.
Well, what you might be talking about here is that it's not going to be fair to put the entire game on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. This running game has got to do something against the Jets. Because they do have two let's assume Cromartie plays. They do have two outstanding corners, probably the best cornerback tandem in the NFL. And you just can't. Yeah. Kirk Cousins has not shown. He's been okay. He's had his moments, good and bad this year. He's doing all right, but you cannot. He is not good enough to put the game on his shoulders.
I agree. And I just remembered what I was going to say. It's also, hearing you guys talk about up-tempo offense and how that's going to be important for this game, we don't do that very well. We have to relay play calls through like 3 or 4 different coaches. We talk about running back cut by committee. We have play calling by committee in Washington. It does not make sense, and it is not conducive for a fast up-tempo game. So that's the other big concern for me.
Yeah,
they
that's
probably
a good point.
Do it, but I would add that in there, though. They need to change it up somehow because, everybody's kind of keyed in on their running game. It's not been any different. Yeah. And they're onto it. They have to get a little more creative at some point.
I don't think Jay Gruden has the ability to be creative, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think he's been playing the cards a little too close to the vest, and it's time to change it up. I'll tell you what I think we need to do. Given how good this defense is, I agree with you. I don't think we can dink and dunk and short game it down the field against the Jets. We need to be going for some big plays every drive, 30-yard chunks. Just flip the field on them because I think that's the only way we're going to beat this team. It's going to be about field position. It's going to be about having 5 or 6 big plays throughout the course of the game where one team does that and the other team doesn't, and that's who wins.
Yeah,
this is where not having Deshaun Jackson really hurts, because he truly he's the one with the elite speed. Ross got it done in the preseason. He's had his moments, but he's not Deshaun Jackson, and neither is Crowder. So not having him, I think, is a big deal. Robbie, who's the Jet strong safety? Do you know straight off the top of your head?
Strong safety is Calvin Pryor, and their free safety is rookie. What's his name? Marcus Gilchrist.
Yep.
Yeah. See,
and they both been playing really well too.
Because my thing, Deshaun Landry.
No. Because I think it's important to not let the Jets just bring Pryor straight up in the box. You've got to stretch. I know you've got to stretch the field. So I think you're absolutely right, Alex. The play calling is going to have to change. They have to open up the passing game a little bit. The only good, the weirdly good thing about the Jets defense, if there's a positive to all these rankings here, is that they actually have not gotten a ton of sacks. They are 26th in the NFL in sacks. They've only had 7. So for all their talent, it's maybe possible that we can keep Kirk Cousins upright.
Yeah, it's not like Kirk Cousins getting sacked has really bitten us too much, this season
he's only
already.
Had 5 sacks, I think.
Yeah,
he's good. He's been good.
So that is not my concern. It's obviously that secondary is the biggest question for me.
Well, it's my concern when you're facing the number 1 defense in the NFL. How many are they going to get to the quarterback? As it turns out, that's not really this defense's thing.
Exactly.
And we've proved to not be a very high-scoring offense in general, as it is.
Right.
So, it sounds like the feel of it is that we're going to be just kicking field goals all game.
Yeah.
We might get our good one drive where we drive down the field. Oh, we got it. We have a chance to score, and then we'll stall in the red zone and kick another field goal.
That, like, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, we had that, like, 6-3 or some ridiculously low-scoring game like that?
That sounds familiar.
There was, yes. I think none of us want to relive that, though.
Well, speaking of low scoring, maybe we should talk a little bit about Jets' offense. I do know this. Their offense, while they've got, I guess, some receiving talent, they've got Brandon Marshall, and I guess the other guy's Eric Decker that they have in terms of receivers, but Ryan Fitzpatrick on the year has like 300 less yards than Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's actually not that daunting of an offense to me. I think we might have a strong defensive game.
That is because Fitzpatrick is not a guy that'll beat you with his arm. He's a game manager, and he excels at doing the dink and dunk quick pass stuff. That's all he really does. He doesn't force it downfield very much.
He's not really,
because you got guys that can catch deep balls. You got Eric Decker, big receiver. Brandon Marshall, big receiver.
Yep.
He's
but they
not
don't
really
throw it deep.
He's not really excelling at dink and dunk though. I mean, they're 29th
I'm not saying
in
he's the
passing
best or
yards.
anything, but that is what he specializes in, is dink and dunks.
Well, if you look at their stats, and I remember I was having this argument on the blog the other day, he and Kirk Cousins, they're basically the same guy, except one's about 10 years older and has an awesome beard.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And,
Kirk Cousins will see his future, man.
Yeah.
It's a good comparison, I think.
It really is. Actually, Fitzpatrick turns the ball over a little bit less in terms of interceptions, but that's really about it. All their other numbers are roughly the same.
Yeah, it's like Fitzpatrick 7 touchdowns on the year to Kirk's 5 or something like that. It's pretty similar, like 6-yard average or something like that. And again, it was like 920 yards to Kirk's 1,200 or something at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's the battle of two one-dimensional offenses.
Plus, he's wicked smart, and he's from Harvard.
That's right.
Well, I think what the Redskins defense needs to worry about is obviously Chris Ivory.
Yep.
Chris Ivory has the numbers. He is averaging 5 yards per attempt. He's only had 63 carries, which is why he's not higher up total yardage. He has 314 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he's kind of the workhorse of the offense, which, I forget which one of you said it. It's kind of odd when they have Brandon Marshall out there, who's a legitimate number one receiver, that they're not really using him properly. But Chris, if they stop Chris Ivory, I think the Redskins defensively will be in good shape.
I mean, it's not going to be easy because they also have a pretty decent offensive line, too. DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, Nick Mangold. I mean, those two have been there for a long time, and they're solid, savvy vets on the offensive line. I mean, it'll be a big battle, but that definitely is our key. I mean, if Fitzpatrick can beat us with his arm, then we don't deserve that to win that game.
Well, I'm not as worried about that. I feel like Joe Barry really showed something to me in the Atlanta game, the ability to game plan for a good quarterback. I feel like we'll be able to handle this defense pretty well. Or, I'm sorry, this offense.
Doesn't it worry you just saying that out loud, though? Don't you feel like now the opposite's going to happen?
Yeah.
He's going to go ham with like 10 touchdowns or something.
Is he just
It would be in the it would be in our
last week all game long?
It would be in our
beard
team's
grows
history.
10 inches longer.
It would be in our team's history for that to happen, for sure. There's no doubt about that. I don't know. I mean, even against us, I can't see Fitzpatrick lighting it up. The Jets just don't. The Jets are kind of our offense, only maybe worse. In terms of their statistical production, they've scored 95 points to our 97. Their rushing game, Chris Ivory is more successful than any backs we have, but Fitzpatrick's numbers aren't quite as good as Cousins. It's kind of the same offense, conservative, not creative.
Are we trying to build the same team that the Jets are trying to build?
Let's hope not.
No. We're trying to build the same team as the Seahawks. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's several years off.
Yeah. At least defensively, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think.
We just don't have the personnel for the Seattle offense, period, right now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, like we said, I don't know. With that offensive line that they're dealing with, this might not be the week for sacks. We had a slight uptick last week. Ryan Kerrigan was playing a little bit better. I'm sensing somewhat of the potential for another regression this week.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because they have only surrendered 2 sacks and are first in the NFL in sacks surrendered. the Jets.
Wow.
And that's because Fitzpatrick gets rid of the ball. He gets it out of his hands fast. They don't do a lot of deep drops, long developing pass plays. They get rid of the ball and get it to their playmakers instead of keeping it with Fitzpatrick.
Right. Who is not a playmaker.
Exactly. He's a game manager that just gets rid of the football, and that's why he's not getting sacked.
Yeah.
Do the fans all know who the Jets coach is, by the way? Do y'all know who the coach
I
is?
would assume so.
It's Todd Bowles.
Yep.
I just want to let the fans know that a former Redskin is in fact the coach.
Two rings with the Redskins, man.
Yep.
He said he has a soft spot in his heart for the Redskins earlier this week. So
and where did he go to college?
Is it Temple?
No idea.
Yeah.
Is it Temple?
So we know he's ridiculously smart. So
wicked smart.
Well, he has a soft spot for the Redskins, but Leonard Williams over there at right defensive end for the Jets does not. I don't know if you guys caught his comments this week, but he said, "Thank God, apparently the Redskins didn't pick me," and instead he went to the Jets, which I understand. But I mean, come on, dude.
Hey, whatever motivates him.
Yeah, you're thanking God that you ended up on the Jets.
He's just trying to motivate himself. Yeah.
That and because he's on a number 1 ranked defense, I assume.
Yeah. Well, and wait, are the Jets a 3-4 or 4-3 at this point?
3-4.
3-4.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're a 3-4 base. We're a 3-4 quote unquote team,
Right,
but we are a nickel pretty much every play. So
Yeah. Our base defense hasn't really made sense the last
That reminds
few
me,
years.
I want to correct myself. From I think 2 weeks ago we talked about that, and I think I said on the air that we haven't run a 4-3 look all year. What I was trying to say was we hadn't run a 3-4 look all year, and when I listened back to the show, I realized I said it wrong. So that was what I was trying to say is we haven't showed a 3-4 basically all year long. That was what I was trying to say.
It's very rare. I think we really only do it when short yardage situations. And then other than that, you have your 4D linemen, and then Perry Riley and Keenan Robinson at linebacker.
Yeah.
And the fifth.
It's interesting
DB.
considering how shorthanded at corner we've been that we keep doing that. But and we're getting back to the wrong side of the ball. I feel like,
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Final thoughts, pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should finish up with then some score predictions for the game if we feel confident enough to venture such a thought. I feel like this is a classic kind of trap game. It could be anything at all. You shut down Matt Ryan 1 week, and then the next week you let up a bunch of touchdowns to Ryan Fitzpatrick. That seems totally, reasonable to assume. I'll try to be conservative with my guess here. I'm going to say battle of the one-sided offenses. It's going to be low scoring, maybe 17-14 Redskins. I know that they're at home, but I think, like I said, we've won one, then lost one, then won one, then lost one throughout the season. I think we can get a win here. This is one of the more winnable games. So I'm going to say we win by a razor-thin margin again, maybe by a field goal. That's my prediction. And I think, Steve, you said it. The name of the game is stopping Chris Ivory. I don't think we have much to worry about from Ryan Fitzpatrick. So that's my prediction. The Redskins keep the running game damage to a minimum and come out with a squeaker.
My thoughts, 17-13 Jets, and the reason I say that is we're traveling, we're on the road. I don't have confidence in the offense this week. It just seems like we're kind of at a crossroads in a shambles or something. The offense isn't really clicking, and maybe they can figure it out. But figuring it out again on the road against the number 1 defense in the NFL, I think it'll be a little bit too much to bear. I think. The Jets aren't going to do too much on offense, but they will squeak by enough to get the win. That's what I think.
Pretty close to me, man. I agree.
Yeah. I'm actually very much aligned with you guys in terms of it being low scoring. I'm seeing it being something like a 13-10, maybe 14-13 type score. I hate to say it, but I think the Jets beat us. I kind of looked at the last or the second set of 4 games and kind of saw us going 1-3. So I don't think we beat this. I do think we'll beat Tampa next week, but we'll get to that next week.
Well, I predicted we'd get our butts kicked by Atlanta. We played them really tough, had a good defense of showing pretty much. I think we're going to lose this one. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say 20-14 Jets. I think Brandon Marshall's going to have a surprising big day. He'll probably catch 2 touchdowns. I just have that feeling.
He's actually surprisingly been solid this year. I mean, I know that their offense haven't been that productive, but he seems to get like 1 or 2 scores a game anyway. He's like he hasn't had a bad year at all.
Well, he's a damn good receiver. He's just on a team that doesn't pass enough.
I just unfortunately closed the stats on the screen, but he's had something, I want to say 30-something catches, high 30s. He's had a pretty good year.
Yeah. He's somehow squeaking away with a respectable year, though. If
they don't
you
have
caught
much else
that,
going on, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
Yeah, passing.
My feeling is just that we're going to be so focused on stopping Chris Ivory that we're going to get hit with a big play by Brandon Marshall at least once.
Particularly with the banged up secondary. Our secondary is not healthy.
Yeah, which is another concern. But it wasn't healthy last week either. So I will say this. I don't know if you guys caught that Jets-Eagles game a couple weeks ago. And by the way, they are coming off not only a win against Miami, a team that we should have beaten this year, but they're also coming off the bye week. So they're extra rested for us, which is somewhat concerning. But I was going to say...
It's the same case for next week, too. Bucks are going to be coming off a bye week as well.
Right. So if we're not facing one of the top defenses, we're facing a very rested team. So, yeah, the odds are not
2 weeks to game plan.
Yeah. Not like it takes
NFL.
2 weeks to game plan for the Redskins. It's basically stop the dink and dunk and you got us nailed. But anyways, I was just going to say, final thought on Brandon Marshall. I don't know if you guys saw that Eagles-Jets game a couple weeks ago, but he had that horrible play where he tried to lateral it backwards right into Connor Barwin's face. And
that was Brandon Marshall that did that?
Yeah, it was a horrible play, man. He came out and said it was the worst play in league history, which it wasn't, but, Close. It was bad. But anyways, that's the Hogs.
Nothing tops the butt fumble.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, the butt fumble. Okay, so it's only the second worst play in Jets history. Anyways, that's the Hogs tie. By the way, if you didn't know this, we interviewed Joe Jacoby, a member of the original Hogs, number 66, 3-time Super Bowl winner. Please listen to that interview. If you're listening to this and you didn't listen to that interview, I question your priorities and your sanity. It was an awesome interview, so please check it out. It was a huge honor to have him. You can check it out everywhere else you see our stuff on thehogstie.com, so get over there. And then I guess next time we will see you for the recap against the Jets. Hopefully we got a win to talk about, right, guys?
Hopefully.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. We will see you next time. Take care.
Peace.